Hi, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Today we're going to talk about €1 properties in Sicily and southern Italy. Are they a good idea? Are they a nightmare waiting to occur? Let's find out. Live here with Super Savvy Travelers. As you know, Pete and I book cruises and we're travel agents and we do all kinds of wonderful things and find fabulous deals for travel. But also, if you're familiar with our website, www.supersavvytravelers.com, you know that we also buy and rent out properties in Italy. And we've made several purchases and several renovations and various maintenance issues and things like that. So we're very, very familiar with this process. So what I want to address today is people come to me or they write me and they say, what about these €1 properties in Sicily and southern Italy? Oh, that's so exciting. It's so cheap. It makes no sense to pass that by. And they always ask me what I think. And what I think is probably not what they necessarily want to hear. There's many, many caveats that I would put in. Can it be a good deal? Maybe, maybe. I haven't seen one yet, but let me just go into what you can do instead that will make you very, very happy, be very, very relatively risk-free and pretty safe, and you're going to love it, okay? So first of all, when Pete and I went and purchased our property, it looked like we just spent 10 days, went over, found a property, we love it, and we bought it, okay? And we did. But prior to that, I did like a year's worth of research on how do you buy a property in Italy, what's entailed, what do you do, how do you find the area, blah, 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 blah. There was a ton of research that I did, even so much as the, the earthquakes. I found one that's sort of in between the faults, so that you don't have to worry so much about earthquakes because Italy's earthquake country. Anyway, that said, do your research beforehand. When you want to go and start looking, I mean, it could be a multi-year project. Go visit various different areas, stay there, check out the people. Do they love you? Are they, what's their character? I mean, these hill towns have different characters and they might not match your character, okay? They may not like foreigners for whatever reason, I don't know. But go there and make sure you feel comfortable there. Now, another thing that I want to mention too is that many of these villages have one architect and one builder. You don't get multiple bids so that you're kind of stuck with them. So just make sure that you really, really know these people and you trust them before you get into something that's going to cost you a lot of money. Okay, now that said, I have reasons not to do this €1 thing. And I'll explain them point by point here. First of all, many of these contracts, in fact, all the ones that I've seen come with conditions. You purchase the property, okay, with all its liabilities, in addition to whatever benefits it gives you, okay? So you own a property in Italy, but then you're also responsible for everything it has to do with, okay? So that said, you only have maybe 5 years to renovate this property, and again, one builder. Now, you don't know this builder. You don't know what the properties are like in Italy. They're completely different than in the US. Here we have wood frames, we have sheetrock, we have roofs. We're very comfortable with renovations and things because there's all these HTV shows, right? But then you go to Italy and these are medieval walls or pre-medieval walls. They could be, 300, 400, 500 years old and still standing. And you have to understand it's a completely different building model in these historic centers, really is what I'm talking about. And that's really where these ruins are. Okay. So that said, you need to understand that if the roof has failed or is failing, these walls are made with roof tiles, bricks occasionally, sand, whatever they had to stuff into a wall to make a wall, including somebody's head, as I found out when Salvatore was telling me about taking down a wall in the other side of the village a couple summers ago. There was a head in there. I guess they ran out of building material and found a head. Anyway, my point is that these are not walls that you're used to here in the US. Maybe in the UK there might be some like that, but it's different than in the US, okay? So when the roof fails, water comes in, it completely destroys the structure of the wall, and then the structural integrity of the entire building or house or whatever is at risk. So if you have a crumbling ruin, and many of them are crumbling ruins, that's why they're only $1, you might have to take it all the way down and rebuild it all from scratch, which would be way more expensive than actually purchasing something that needs only a little bit of work, okay? So bear that in mind. Crumbling ruin over there is different than a crumbling ruin here, okay? Now, I was reading an interview about people who had done this with these €1 properties in southern Italy and Sicily, and they were talking about, oh, I spent $250,000, spent this, hundreds of thousands of dollars on this, and I really love my, well, that's great. That's great if you love your place, but the property market over there does not support renovations of that nature, okay? Many of the housing prices, you could get a beautiful apartment for $60K. $70K. You can get views of the sea for $60, $70K over there in southern Italy. Brand new, well, not brand new, but new and renovated apartments. I saw one for $75,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment with stunning views of the sea. Okay, so you don't have to go and pay $250,000. You could probably buy a massive, beautiful mansion in our village for that amount of money. So understand that they chose to do that. God bless them. I hope they're real happy with their purchases, but don't expect to sell it. Okay, now another thing to keep in mind is legal costs over there are every bit as expensive as over here. And everything goes intensely slowly, all right? So it may be 10 years before you get any sort of resolution of a problem that goes legal. And you're probably going to spend more in legal costs than you're going to ever recoup from the person or people that you dealt with. Okay, and it's an uncertainty. So you don't want to expect some sort of legal remedy in case things go wrong. You just have to make sure that they don't go wrong and that you're well educated going in. All right, now unfortunately sometimes they do put up the prices for foreigners. We found that out because our builder is cousins with my friend in the village, and she insisted that he go with us to pick out our finishes because they put up the prices for Americans. That. It was very cute, and I was very happy that she stepped up and that he came along with us because he did negotiate a very nice deal for us, and he didn't let them put up the prices for us. But understand that occurs. You may end up spending more. What you want to do, if you're going to get any kind of renovations done, is get an estimate beforehand. Go pick out the finishes beforehand. Get all the costs up front so you know exactly what you're dealing with. Okay, now, once again, one builder in the village, they don't tend to cross territories. You can't really get, maybe you can in some areas, but in our areas it seems to be somewhat territorial. I wouldn't get, Giuseppe from over here to come over here and do some work in the bathroom, for example. Or I wouldn't use somebody from my village to go over to Praia and do something over there. So there's a little bit of territorial stuff that may or may not be a factor, but just be aware that it might be, okay? All right, so we talked about the roofs and things like that. The resale values doesn't really support a huge renovation project. So what do you do instead? All right. Now let's look at it realistically, okay? You can go over to our village, and I have been doing many, many tours because now that everybody understands that I'm bringing people into the village and people are buying, everybody wants to show me their house. So I can barely walk to the piazza without being pulled into somebody's house, which I love because I get a really good idea of what's on the market and what the value is. Okay, one of the apartments I saw, a very cute 1-bedroom apartment. It didn't really have views of the sea, but you could make a little patio out front and whatnot. 13,000 euros. It was just, you needed new windows, it needed a paint job. I would put new whatever in the living room, and a new kitchen. Another thing on kitchens over there, they're like Lego kitchens, okay? You buy them, they're very cheap. They're actually considered furniture, so you could move into a place where you love the kitchen and the kitchen's gone, and you got to go down to IKEA, or in our case, Bama, and buy a new kitchen, and they just come and they put it in. It's not like, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're talking maybe $3,500 for a small kitchen, up to $6,500 for a very large kitchen. So the kitchens are pretty cheap over there to put in. That's just a little side note. And in our area, they just put in a brand new Bama, which has furniture and kitchens and bathrooms and blah, 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 blah. There's tons of stuff available. So anyway, that's great. And that doesn't have to cost a lot of money. So you buy something for $13,000, you put in maybe, $5K for new, not even $5K for new windows, depending on the types of windows. You put an air conditioner, you put a new kitchen for $6,500, blah, blah, blah. You fix it all up, for 25,000 euros, you get a nice one-bedroom apartment in a beautiful village of Santa Dominica Tilao, which is my favorite place to be. So understand that those types of properties are available. Now, there was a stunning two-bedroom apartment at the top of the village up in the Upper Piazza area, and it had just been totally redone and was beautiful. And they were asking 80,000. Now, I think that's a little bit much. You could probably get it for 70,000 if you made an offer. All done, you move right in. Beautiful, views of the sea, everything. Just gives you an idea of what's available. Okay, good. Now, if you're going to go for a renovation project and you want to put your own stamp on it, first make sure there's no structural work that has to be done. Okay, the structural work is going to cost you. New walls, new roofs and ceilings and things like that. That's where the money is. Okay, now that said, if you buy a property and you want to put in a new roof terrace, which many of them will allow you to do, and I love it because we're putting one in our property right now. Get one with a crappy roof, negotiate the price down, find out ahead of time what the roof terrace is going to cost you, and then make sure that you get it all figured out beforehand and go in with that plan once you've already been comfortable with the builder and the architect. Okay, so that said, just get something that needs cosmetic repairs. New floors, tile is not that expensive over there, and you can get it done for pretty cheap. Plastering, very simple, very inexpensive. Like I said, kitchens, Lego kitchens, click, 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 there's your kitchen. I have a friend in Santa Dominica that put in a brand new kitchen with IKEA, and she did a beautiful job. She and her friends got there and bought everything and put it together. So that can be really inexpensive. Okay, good. Now, another thing is when you go in, these prices sometimes have no rhyme or reason as far as what the property market is. People just go, I think it's worth this, and then it's worth that. It may have nothing to do with the actual value of the property, and that is evidenced by the fact that many of these things sit on the property market for years before they just take them off or do whatever or reduce the price. Make an offer on what makes sense and be ready to walk away. Don't fall in love, oh, I have to have it, because you may end up paying way too much. There's plenty available. You could go around the block and find another perfect apartment for yourself. Okay, now the work takes time on the renovations. I think we went over that already. You don't know how long it's going to take, so if you have major renovations, it's going to take a long time. The other ones, you know, the cosmetic stuff may not take as long. Additionally, the workers that work with the contractor, they know how to do all that stuff, right? They're not needed. For roofs and things like that, you're going to need the top guy. So there you go. Now your other alternative is buy something that's already done. I mean, there's so much available there, and it's really not expensive. Like I said, that one house up at the top of the village, 80,000 euros. You could offer less. It's been on the market for a couple of years already. I do want to make a pitch because our architect Antonello has been working with the owners of a ruin in the back of our village. It is 500 square meters, more than 5,000 square feet. It takes up a whole city block. It's an ancient palazzo or palace. And the owners initially started offering it at $120,000. Then a year later, it was $70,000. Now they're like, look, the roof has fallen in on one side. Somebody needs to buy that thing because, as I said, the walls are going to come down and the structural integrity is going to be a problem on that. So they're giving it away for free, okay? You could renovate part of it, you would have to put the roof up first. Antonello tells me it'd be about $40,000 to put up the roof. You could put a roof terrace on it. Once the roof is up, it's going to be salvageable and you don't have to worry too much about it. The only caveat is that the owners would like you to renovate an apartment for them in the building. It's up next to the Palazzo Campagna in our village where the new cooking school is going to open up, I think, in the next year or two, and right near our B&B, which is opening up in the next year or two, too. So I hope you found all of that very, very useful. I'm available if you want to send me an email with your specific questions on areas, on what to do, where to look, how to buy a property in Italy. If you want to come to the village, come to the village. I would love to show you everything that's available. We have a wonderful group up there, and we're having the time of our lives in this beautiful Italian village in southern Italy. So anyway, write me. Give me a little message if you're interested, even if you're just kind of thinking about dreaming. I love dreams. I love talking with you about them, and sometimes we can create a dream for way less than you think. So, signing off. Talk to you later.